Good evening all. I'm Paul Webley. I'm the Director of SciAS. I'd like to welcome you all in the audience tonight, particularly those who've travelled a long way to be here, and I know a lot of people have travelled a long way to be here, and to Professor Anna Contadini's friends, colleagues and family. I was talking to her daughter Claudia earlier, who said that she'd not actually heard her mother give a public address like this before, and she's looking forward to it greatly, to which my thought was, aren't we all? Now, we've got guests from many institutions, from many places tonight. We really appreciate you all taking the trouble to come here. SciAS inaugurals for me are something special. They have a real sense of occasion. They're often a bit of a challenge, at least initially for the speaker, but they're an intellectual event, they're a celebration. It's an enjoyable event for the whole community. To make sure it is really enjoyable, just some housekeeping first. If there's a fire alarm, it means there's a fire. So you don't panic, but you go carefully towards the fire exits, okay? And the other thing is, please do turn off your mobile phones. This is something as people know who see me doing these things regularly, I often get wrong, so, aha, excellent. There we are, mobile phone off. Or silent, for those of you who really need to keep in touch, but you shouldn't, because Anna's lecture is going to be so good, it doesn't matter who's communicating with you, you don't want to know, you just want to listen to her. Now, I'm very pleased to preside over this inaugural lecture. It's the 10th of the 2011-12-13 inaugural lecture series. Anna is a superb scholar. She's a wonderful colleague. I know her best as the curator of two absolutely brilliant treasures of SciAS exhibitions, though I've also read some of her outstanding book, A World of Beasts, which is great. So I'm greatly looking forward to a lecture this evening entitled Transforming Beauty, Artistic and Cultural Contacts Between the Middle East and Europe. I know that it will embody great scholarship. I know it will also be beautiful as well as intellectually stimulating. Now, Professor Contadini will be introduced by Professor Robert Hillenbrand, who's on my left here, who's an old friend of SciAS's. Professor Hillenbrand was educated at the universities of Cambridge and Oxford. He's been based at the University of Edinburgh since 1971, where he was awarded the Chair of Islamic Art in 1989. He's published over 120 articles on aspects of Islamic art and architecture. He curated one of the largest exhibitions of Persian miniature painting ever held, and his scholarly interests, I hope I've got this right, relate to Islamic architecture, painting, and iconography. I can never say that, with particular reference to Iran and Umayyad Syria. The vote of thanks will be delivered by Professor Lieselotte Salmer from the University of Heidelberg. She's currently a senior professor of medieval art history at the Institute of European History of Art. She's come here specially this evening from Heidelberg, so again, we appreciate that greatly. Her fields of interest include medieval art manuscripts, image and text, mixed media, political iconography, transmission of iconographic traditions. There's a lot of this iconography here, profane or urban context. We're grateful both to Robert and to Lieselotte for being part of today's event. You're a very important part of this, so thank you very much indeed. At the end of the evening, you'll be invited upstairs to the reception in the Brunei suite for some wine and canapes. So, to kick off, to introduce Professor Contadini, I'll now pass over to Professor Hillenbrand. Over to you, Robert.
It's cause for celebration that there's a personal chair in Islamic art here, now. It's a subject that is very popular with students and the public alike. Think back to the Festival of Islam in 1976, and it's a subject that's seen exponential growth in the last generation. In publication, exhibitions, conferences, museum displays, and events galore. And yet, it's a Cinderella subject in British universities, and there's only a handful of universities where the subject is taught. And that's changing slightly. There's good news from the Courtauld. They're adding to their 28 specialists in Western art, one specialist in non-Western art, Iran. Bingo! And there are also a series of lectures and courses, short and long, undertaken under the umbrella of museums and universities. So there's no doubt about the interest. SOAS is a key player here. It has a rich portfolio of research and expertise in all things Middle Eastern, and it is near some of the major collections and research libraries in the world. So here is the obvious place. And it's here, too, that we have the very first endowed chair of Islamic art, the Nasser David Khalili chair, whose first occupant was Michael Rogers, currently occupied by Doris Behrens Abu Saif. And SOAS has the advantage of a distinguished record of some 70 years of continuous, serious study of Islamic art. No other institution in Britain has that. And over a period of some 60 years,